How's it going there, folks? I don't think there's a single person in here. That's because I didn't notify anyone that I was going to be doing a live stream, but now I shall notify. Notify I will. So if you're watching the recording of this, I apologize for the disorganization. I just decided out of the blue to go live, and it seemed like a good idea. I have a lot of stuff to talk about, and I also want to hear your opinions and questions as well. I apologize for not previously announcing this. I will be better in the future. I just kind of lost track of time and didn't really put together formally this live stream. I just decided to do it. So here we go. But let's go to the Twitter and say, I'm live. I'm live. Come hang out with me. Let's talk about the iPhone 6 and other technical items. Okay, perfect. Paste. We will go to my Facebook page, which is getting a lot of activity. I thought Facebook was dying, but more people have been watching that than my other stuff, which is quite nice, I suppose. Let's go there. Let's post this onto the Facebook page so people will come out, and we'll get started here. There seems to be a little bit of a delay, but anyway, we got that going there. Perfect. Okay, here we are. I don't know how. This is the chat. This is all very confusing. I haven't used this for years, since Google Livestream was first available. And believe it or not, this was way back in the day when there wasn't this cool dashboard. It wasn't a Hangout per se. Rather, oh, no. Wow, you can screen share too. That's pretty cool. No, I don't want to do that. Uh-oh. Looks like I just took a photo with that, and I don't want to do that. Here we go. Anyways, I can't see how many people are in here. Do I need to have the actual YouTube page open, or is the chat available? If there's anyone in here, please type something in the chat so I can see if it pops up in this window. I don't really know how to use this. I did try this though while I was figuring this out, and it's really funny. I'm going to draw a mustache on me. Here we go. It's kind of like the same color as my skin, so it doesn't really turn out. There we go. And it moves around. Hey, bigote. Alrighty. Let's see it, little babies. If I turn, oh wow, it still stays. That's impressive. I'm impressed. It's like kind of a weird mustache. You can try to eat it. Didn't work. Okay. Feeling a little bit crazy and spontaneous in this moment. I can't see if anyone's in here. I don't know how these stupid things work. Oh. So there's a bunch of people on YouTube saying, hello, I'm here. I guess I just have to have it open on my browser. I don't know. This is confusing. Anyways, this should work, I suppose. It looks like it will. Can you guys hear me okay? Is everything working out all right? Audio's good. I know the video quality is not good. I apologize for that. I'm using a very, very old webcam from years ago, but what can you do, right? So we'll get this show on the road. What the heck? Oh. There was just a notification. I wonder if this works. Let's try it. I've never done a live stream from my app, like tried to watch it. So here's the Snazzy Labs app. I don't think it will work. I can't imagine it does. Let's try. Wow. Can you guys hear me okay? Is everything working out all right? It does work. That's really cool. Wow. That is neat. I'm going to say, you can watch me live right from the Snazzy Labs app, exclamation point. Anywho, okay. Let's get back into this. We have some people in the chat. It seems severely delayed because you're just recently saying, yes, everything's great. And that's when I asked you about the audio quality, which was a good like 2 minutes ago. But delay aside, we're going to get this show on the road. You guys can start to formulate questions in the video description below. Excuse me, in the comment section, so that I can kind of answer that stuff as it goes on. I'm very stressed out. I'm very sick. I don't know if you can hear that. I've got a cough and all that good stuff. And it's from my very, very stressful event last night, which was the iPhone pre-order. Okay, this was the most disastrous pre-order I've had in the history of being an Apple fan, and holy crap, it was just a disaster. I mean, on all four fronts. Let's talk about what went wrong. Okay, so first of all, I'm very sick. You guys can see from like the blemishes and unattractiveness on my face that I'm very stressed out. School's been hard. It's been rough, right? So I wanted to just have a nice pre-order, stay up till 1:30. I watched a couple episodes of New Girl. I'm catching up on that TV show before it starts again. Hi Larry, how's it going? And you know, what am I talking about again? I don't really remember. Uh, oh, yes, the pre-order. I stayed up. I was planning 12:01. I'm going to do my pre-order. I knew that there was going to be some delays, some 404s, just because that's how it always is. But I was saying, 1:30 maximum is when I go to bed. It will be fine. Oh boy, did that not happen. So I don't know how many of you guys tried to pre-order last night. I know Larry was up and several other YouTubers were, and several other people I follow and people that follow me. But anyway, it was a wreck. I mean, it was a disaster. The store.apple.com on the browser, and I tried in private browsing mode, in incognito. I tried in Chrome, in Opera, in Safari. I was refreshing it all night long while I was trying to, fiddle with the terrible iPad app. But I was not able to load the Apple Store a single time until like 3:30 when I went to bed. It was ridiculous. So I was trying to, at about 1:30, the iPhone and the iPod app started working. So I got onto the app and everything was loading really slowly. And the app, and if you guys were here, it's funny, but as as you open the app, there's a bunch of configurations: iPhone 6, iPhone 6 Plus, the colors, the style or the capacity, and then your carrier. And for me, I don't know if it was this way for you, but you could go clicking the different capacities, and at 1 minute it would say currently unavailable. And like 32 gigabytes, for example, or 64 gigs. You click the 64 gig variant, it would say currently unavailable. You click the 16 gigabyte variant, it's currently unavailable. You click the 64 gigabyte again, and it would say available, delivers 9/19. But then like half a second later, it would go away. So it was like a rat race of pecking to get that window up so that you could enter your information to buy the phone. It was a disaster. So I was determined to get my mother's phone first, and that's the one that I came across first. So I got her an iPhone 6 Plus in gold, 64 gig for AT&T, the $299, and it will deliver 9/19, which is great. That's what she wanted. I was going to go get my phone after that, and I didn't have so much success. The App Store or the Apple Store at this point was not even loading, right? So I thought, this is a disaster, is a wreck. I'm just going to go through AT&T. And I should not have done that, because seconds later, or minutes previous, I had said, be careful, don't order from carriers. Typically, they don't have a very large stock, and they get back ordered really quickly. And I said, you're better off ordering from Apple. I got retweeted a bunch of times, and people were like, thanks for the advice. Against my own advice, and I'm paying for the consequences now, I'm telling you. I went to the app, I went to the AT&T store. It was that's Larry. That's for sure Larry. He's not an imposter. Um, that's his personal account. It's fake Larry. No, darn you, fake Larry. Uh, anyways, so by the way, David DeFranco just retweeted my video, my blog that I posted yesterday, I think. Um, um, David DeFranco retweeted, or he tweeted rather, my video that I did the other day about Android being, I shouldn't say inferior, but it is. and iOS being elegant. And that's, I said, iPhone specs don't matter because it's an optimized system. And it was like a rant that I did, and David DeFranco tweeted it, and he's got a bunch of followers, and people are retweeting it like crazy and favoriting it, and people are hating on us, saying, wow, how ignorant. Way to go, David. Want a cookie for being such a fanboy? Inferior. Yeah, very professional. And then David says, dude, relax. That's Quinn's title, not mine. Take it up with it. Thanks, David. Okay. Anywho, so back to the story at hand. I decided to go with AT&T. I thought, it can't be that bad. They'll eventually ship it. There might be a little delay, but it's not going to be a problem. Especially because people had been tweeting on my timeline and saying, I bought it from AT&T. I've been told it's going to ship the 19th. I'm good to go. And so I thought, okay, that's fine. I'm just going to go through AT&T. I went against my own better judgment, and I paid the consequences. After finishing the order, the first time it 404'd. So it said, order is processing. Please do not close this window. Like when it's making a payment, right? That's when the website 404'd. And I was like, no, because I was wondering if I was already going to get charged or if the payment didn't go through. So I hung out for like 10 to 15 minutes to see if I was going to get a confirmation email, because that would determine if I had bought the phone or not, because I didn't want to buy it twice, right? Didn't get anything, so I decided, well, I'm going to order it again. Still was having problems with the Apple Store. So I just said, to heck with the Apple Store, I'm just going to do it through AT&T. I went to the website, I ordered again, I got it into my shopping cart, I paid with my credit card, it worked good, right? The problem is that right after the order, and it doesn't tell you the expected delivery date, you just order. And then once you've made the pre-order, I got an email that said expected to deliver in 12 to 14 days. And I was like, no, crap, that's a week in advance. That's a week after the launch. I'm going to be late. But at the same time, I was tired. I was like, whatever, at least I'm getting a phone. It's fine. I started working on my dad's phone. Okay, my dad wanted the same thing as I did, a 64 gigabyte iPhone 6 Plus in gray. Now the problem with him is that he is already 1 year through a contract, and so he has a whole year left. And if you try to order on AT&T's site, they were requiring me to do the AT&T Next, and we don't want to do that. We just wanted to buy the phone at the semi-unsubsidized price. It's like $549, I think, if you're a year of the way through your contract. That's what we wanted to do. But I couldn't do it through AT&T because they wouldn't let me. They wanted to push Next on me. But on the Apple Store, you could. So I kept refreshing. I kept trying. Nothing. Eventually, later, this was probably 3 a.m. already, a couple of different variations came up. The 128 gigabyte model was available in gray and silver. The 16 gig model was available in gold, but I was very determined, and my dad wanted the gray, the space gray, the 64 gig model. That still said currently unavailable. So I was like, oh man, this freaking sucks. I went to store.apple.com on my iPad, and that is when the website officially went up, the site, the real site. I made my pre-order through there, and it said, I'm sorry, we're having problems contacting carrier service. A reservation has been made, and you'll be emailed in the next 24 hours. And I was like, I'm just giving up. I'm tired. I closed the iPad. I went to sleep, and I woke up today, and to my very disbelief and sadness, a couple of things that happened. First of all, I woke up, and there was an email from Apple saying your reservation is available. So I went to apple.com. I paid the $549 or whatever it was with tax in order to get my father the iPhone 6 Plus halfway through his contract, right? So that's what I did there. It worked out fine. It said expected shipping time 7 to 10 days. Again, not right on launch day, but I thought, whatever. They sent a confirmation email, and it said October 1st to October 4th is the expected delivery date. And I was kind of frustrated because, I wanted to get him a phone on the first day, and it just didn't work out. But at the same time, I said, he has a OnePlus One. He's fine. He's not going to die if he waits a week longer. And he was fine with it too. So that's what happened to my dad. And I was thinking, well, here's the thing. AT&T usually ships a little bit sooner than what they quote. I think they quote to be generous, and then sometimes they ship a little earlier. Jun Lee, and I do remember this way back from the iPhone, he said the iPhone 5, for which I wasn't here, but I remember from the iPhone 4, the iPhone 4S, I can't remember, but they were quoting people years and years in advance. Hi, David. I'm fine. I'm fine with you. That's funny. I was just joking around. Thanks for the retweet, by the way. That's been retweeted like crazy. Anyway. back to my video. Wait, my video. Back to the story. Um, there's a huge delay. Sorry, there's always that way. I don't know. I'll see that in like 10 minutes. So just chill. I don't. Yeah, I can see stuff the moment you post them, but you won't hear my reply for several minutes. It's not several minutes, but it's like 60 seconds. It's a really long time. Anyway, back to the story. So I said maybe AT&T will ship a little bit early because sometimes they do. Sometimes they say it won't be available until September 30th, and then they actually ship launch week, and you're fine. And I remember that from the iPhone 4, the 4S, I don't remember, where people were freaking out saying, oh no, I'm not going to get my phone. And then it got there a couple days after launch. I mean, not a big deal. Not on launch day, but it wasn't a problem. Well, this quote that I had of it was 12 to 14 days changed from um, the 17th of October to the 21st of October. And I was like, no, October, that is long. That's a whole month. I'm not going to wait that long for a phone. And poor other guys, freaking Double D50, David Drummond. I feel bad for, or Doug. I feel bad for Doug because Doug got quoted for like the 11th of November, and he was the first one to order it. I remember one of the first people that said I've successfully bought my phone was Doug, and he posted it like at 12:15 when the Apple Store wasn't even up, you know. And so I feel bad for him, and hopefully AT&T is lying. They're being generous with the shipping date, and they're going to push it forward, you know, hopefully. But I don't know that they will. They've done it in the past, and that's why I'm split. I can't decide what to do. I have two options, really. My mom's phone is coming on the 19th, and maybe I can steal it from her to do an unboxing or a first look. I don't even know if you guys want that because everyone, Marquez Brownlee and all those guys will already have them. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if MKVHD already has a review sample before and he publishes the review on the embargo date because he's huge. Maybe not, but possibly. Anywho, retracing backwards. I have two options. Option number one is just to tough it out, to leave my order there, and hope that AT&T delivers before October 17th, which is what they've quoted. Okay. The other option is I can go hang out at an AT&T store or an Apple store, and we have three Apple stores in our city now, but our city has 1.5 million people, and it's kind of turning into a little hipster. A lot of startups are here city, so there's people that camp out like days in advance. There is a brand new store that opened like an hour north where not a lot of people live, and so I'm thinking maybe I could go there to hang out a couple hours before it opens, wake up early at like 4:30 or 5 a.m., go hang out for 3-4 hours before the store. I'm not camping out. There's no way I'm sleeping on the ground. That's not happening. It's not fun to me. I know some people like that. I'm not a fan of sleeping on the ground. It's not really not really my thing. But I would wake up early to go, get in line. Or the problem with this is, however, is since I've already made my reservation, my pre-order with AT&T, that upgrade is gone, right? So I had the $299 upgrade on a line that we don't use on my family plan anymore. So that was kind of the one I honed in on. But the problem is that's taken because of the pre-order. So if I do decide to go hang out at an Apple store or maybe an AT&T store, usually, I mean, they have significantly less stock, but Farmington Station, yeah, that's where I'm thinking about going, actually. Because that mall, it's a nice mall, and that place is pretty new, and I mean, there's a lot of people that live out in Farmington. Tomas is here. He lives here in Utah with me. But it's a pretty new store, so maybe people don't know about it. It's a well-kept secret. I don't know. The one downtown, total disaster. I bet there's people going to start lining up on Monday. Like, seriously, it is a wreck. And then there's another one in a shopping mall that is, it's a well-known store that will probably get people camping out the night before. I'm not going to camp out. But the problem is, this is my problem, and it's a big one, and I have to just kind of go with my gut and do it. I can cancel my pre-order, and 48 hours later, I will get my upgrade back on my account. Because right now, if I keep my pre-order, I go to the Apple Store, they're going to charge me like $780 or whatever it is, $899, I think, $900 for the off-contract price because I've already technically used my upgrade, even though it's only for the pre-order. Okay? Or, and this is what scares me more, I cancel my pre-order with AT&T, I go hang out at an Apple store or an AT&T store, and I try to get my phone. Now, if I get my phone, it's perfect. I get it on launch day. It's great. If I don't get the phone, then I am totally screwed because not only will I not have the phone on launch day, but I will have canceled my pre-order. So, I'm stressed out. Tomas is saying last year he walked right in. Hey, Tomas, we gotta talk on Twitter because I want to figure this out. In Farmington, again, I feel like it's a conversation between you and me. We're Utah folk, yeah. Maybe we can just walk in there. City Creek Center, disaster. I mean, that place is going to be stacked up to the brim with people. I'm going to go hang out at the Microsoft store. That'd actually be a good video. Go hang out at the Microsoft store on launch day of the iPhone and try to get people to come in. I'd like that. Okay, so that was my story. You guys can leave a comment or whatever. Anyway, yeah, Larry, you have a good point. They usually just select a few people. I know other companies send review units, even previous to such, as with an embargo, like Motorola with the 360. They already had all the, even Keaton from TechSmart had a 360 before the embargo. So I mean, they give it to quite a bit of people. And a lot of YouTubers are being considered like real journalists now, which is really cool. I'm definitely not there yet and won't be there for years, but it's cool that some are. But Larry makes a good point. Apple is very strict about who they send stuff out to, and in fact, they don't even send it out to a lot of people that might not speak well of the phone. You have your Mossberg from the Wall Street Journal, those classic types. You have David Pogue that get the phones, and they're the only ones, and that's it. And to be honest, Apple doesn't need to send out a ton of review units because people are going to buy the dang thing anyway. And so there's not a lot of people that are waiting for David Pogue's review, I don't think, in order to buy the iPhone. They're either going to buy it or they're not going to buy it. So anyway, yeah, let's see. Yeah, Jonathan makes a good point. He says, why don't you just cancel your pre-order as you're in line to get the iPhone? That sounds ideal, but explicit word AT&T prevents you from doing so. If you cancel your pre-order, they take 48 hours to reinstate the upgrade to your account, which is stupid and frustrating. And so, but that's what they're doing. I have a phone or something that's vibrating like crazy. I don't know what it is. Oh, it's my Lumia, my Windows phone. I'm actually really glad I bought this. I know it's not like the top of the line Windows phone, and this one's actually pretty beat up, but I got it for $80 locally. And I got it. I probably could have got a cheaper version or at least a better phone for the same price. But if you guys remember, and I backtrack on what I said because I was wrong. Well, I don't know. It could be right. The increased screen sensitivity on the iPhone. We know it's not Sapphire. They use that in the Apple Watch. My source was wrong on that one, but it could be that there is increased screen sensitivity, and that will be one of the first things I test when I get the phone. I'm going to get my fingers wet and try to touch the display and see if it picks stuff up. But I got this phone because this is one of the, not the few phones, but one of the cheaper phones that has an amazingly good touchscreen. You can get your fingers all sorts of wet, and it will still work. It's amazing. I don't really even know how it works. The OnePlus One does quite a good job. It's not perfect, but this Lumia, man, this thing is like a beast. You could pour like a water bottle on top of this thing and start using it, and it works fine. I was in the bathroom. This is my bathroom phone. That's gonna sound awkward. I hope you have a bathroom device, right? Because I usually don't like to take my nice stuff into the bathroom because you're in the bathroom and it's gross. I don't want my MacBook Air all gross. It's not like anything happens to your device while you're doing your business, but something could happen. It could fall, whatever. So when I'm in the office, this is my bathroom phone. I have Twitter and I have Instagram loaded on here and I have Facebook, and that's all you need. So this is my bathroom phone. And today, it's got quite a slippery back. Today I was looking, I tried to flip it around quickly, and I totally just hucked the phone. I have the worst luck with phones. I just hucked the phone across the bathroom, and it landed on that. It's like a linoleum covered cement, hard surface. And it was from pretty high, and I tossed the thing. But not a single scratch. Turned out fine. The iPhone 6 probably would have broken. That is one thing that I'm getting, and I would recommend that you get the same. And look, I'm clumsy. Everyone knows that. I've broken phones like left and right. The HTC One, I actually sent that in for repair today, but I broke that. I broke my OnePlus One. It's not severely broken, but there's definitely a hairline crack down here at the bottom. I dropped it from 4 feet high at a fairground. I'm just kind of a clumsy guy. But my hands are also usually quite dry, and so they're slippery, right? But I will tell you that when you have a bigger phone, it is more difficult to make sure that it stays in your hand. Because a lot of times you have to reach to the side of the screen and your fingers on the back here are kind of like just barely gripping the phone in order to reach over, right? Because if you're like this, then you can use your hand, but I'm trying to get into the camera. But if your hand is gripping the phone well, you can't reach over to the furthest button. So you got to slide your hand back a little bit in order to reach there. And there is a huge opportunity and possibility that you're going to drop the phone. And so, moral of the story, if you have an iPhone 6 or an iPhone 6 Plus, you should definitely get some sort of insurance on there. And I also comment on the following. I think that Square Trade Insurance and other insurance companies are not the way to go. They're good in the sense that they're less expensive. AppleCare is expensive. You pay $100, and then they only give you 2 casualty opportunities, and each one there's $100 or a $70 deductible. So if I break my phone, it's $170, boom, to replace it. Just that's the way it is. Now, that is good if you do break it, because with AppleCare, they give you a refurbished device in perfect condition. Okay. Now, with the majority of these repair companies, with the exception of water damage, they just pull out the digitizer, for example, the screen, and they put a cheaper Chinese part glass, an OEM glass on the top. And so not only are you getting lower quality parts, sometimes you get the same quality part, but the problem is, wow, you're just recently hearing about my bathroom experience. The chat is super delayed. That's frustrating. I'm going to be done with this story in a minute, and I'm going to take questions. So start your questions now in the comments. So by the time I'm done with this story, I can get to your questions. I'm sorry about the delay. I think that's just the way YouTube is. Anyway, so back to this. What was I talking about? The phone, AppleCare. Oh, yeah. So with AppleCare, you're out $170. With Square Trade, a lot of times they don't use authentic parts. And when they do, they're still... a lot of them are not very good repairmen. I've repaired phones a lot, and I considered myself pretty good at repairing iOS devices. But there's sometimes where you lose a screw, you strip a screw, and it just doesn't look perfect. And when you have a lot of those problems, if you replace the screen 3 times and you open it back and forth, you're going to start to see issues with the phone because it's not meant to be open. And so when you try to open it, there's a lot of problems. And might I add that the iPhone 6 looks like it's going to be really freaking hard to open. I know the iPhone 5 is a little bit trickier. I did a replacement on the iPhone 5. I actually have the 5 here. And this is something that maybe you can help me with. I couldn't figure it out. So, this is the 4S. Trust me when I say I have an iPhone 5, okay? It's around here somewhere. But with the iPhone 5, the earpiece was not working. So you could put it on speakerphone and you could talk, but the earpiece didn't work. And that was the only thing that didn't work. Other than that, the phone was functional. So I thought, well, it must just be the earpiece, the headset that's gone wrong. So I ordered that part on eBay. The little earpiece speakerphone is like $2 or whatever. I did the uninstall. It wasn't too hard. I got around it. I made sure the contacts were placed correctly. There was contact, but it still doesn't work. I know the part that I replaced is installed correctly. I know that the part works because I tried it in another phone. It just doesn't work on that iPhone. So I'm thinking it's some kind of logic board issue, or I don't know what it is. Any ideas? Have you guys had this problem? Not sure. Anyway, someone says, what makes Deezer better than Ardio? Oh, this is CoStormer. Hey, he's a pretty sweet dude. He made the intro to the Snazzy Labs video. That's funny. My buddy Richard says you look better in person. I do look a little red and ghost-like from this stream. Trust me, when the women say that I'm good looking, it's not a joke. Just looks like it on the internet. I'm kidding. Oh yeah. Okay. So what is Deezer? Deezer is a music service that's been available in, I think it's Germany, for several years now. It was actually one of the first, way back in the days of Mog and all that stuff. and Rhapsody, way back when. Anywho, they're finally entering the US market. And the difference between Deezer and all the other streaming services is they stream in lossless audio quality, which is great. And that's been the biggest downside is here in the office, I have great speakers. And at my home, I have, well, here at the office, I basically just spin vinyl, right? And when I do stuff online, I use Fidelia and I play FLAC files. Okay, so really high fidelity audio. And it's not a huge difference if you use Rdio, but it is noticeable, and it's noticeable enough that it bothers me. At home, I have my Woo Audio WA6. I also use FLAC files. But when I'm around the house and when I'm in the car, I use Rdio because it's sufficient. It's fine, right? It streams at 320 kilobits per second, which is well good enough for any non-professional audio setup. And it sounds fine. Now, the difference between Deezer is they support lossless audio. So the quality that I'm getting out of my FLAC files on my computer will be delivered through this Deezer app, which is awesome. And that's one of the reasons I want to change. Now, it is more expensive. It's $20 versus 10. All the other ones are 10. And I think I might be wrong, but I think their library is a little bit smaller than the competing options. I know Spotify is by far the biggest. Beats Music is quite large. Rdio is relatively small in comparison. I mean, pretty much every band I like is on Rdio, but not everything. I haven't yet come across something on Mog, which now is Beats Audio, or Spotify that, I mean, there's not a band that I love that hasn't been on those services, if that makes sense. Holy Ghost is a great example. Love that band to death. They're excellent. They are on Spotify and Beats Music, but they are not on Rdio. So I think, Deezer has that same issue. There's not a lot of audio. There's not a huge library. But the quality of such is much higher, which is a reason alone for me to change or maybe pay alongside. We'll have to see. But it's coming to the States here in a couple of months, a couple of weeks. Sonos, the Bluetooth speaker, the high quality Bluetooth speaker brand, currently has the exclusive rights to the high quality streaming, but I think that's going to change after their sponsorship in a couple weeks. Anyway, so yeah, I really haven't read up on it as much as I should. But anywho, let's see more questions. Dills, nice name. Dills18 says, what do Apple, he's not from the United States. You're from the United Kingdom, aren't you? Because they use Apple as as if it were a plurality. That's typical English. They say Apple are releasing a new phone rather than Apple is releasing a new phone because it's not an individual. Anyway, that's fine. He says, what do Apple plan to do with Beats? Any ideas? It's actually, Apple's doing kind of what I thought they would do. I didn't think that Apple was going to integrate the Beats marketing into the iPhone because the iPhone is already iconic. Beats are already iconic. So there's no need from an advertising or marketing standpoint to put Beats audio into an iPhone, which is why I don't think we saw it. Now, in terms of the future, I think that they're going to keep selling overpriced headphones. And they're still going to sell them at Apple stores and other retail locations. I think they're going to be kept apart quite separately. I mean, Apple might push you now in the store with Beats. They may have more advertisements with Beats and Apple stuff together, but I don't think that they're going to make like a love relationship wherein Beats and Apple are the same. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think we're going to see a Retina MacBook Air with Beats audio speakers built into it. It might, but I don't think so. And from a marketing standpoint, I mean, that's not really historically how Apple has done stuff. Now, granted, Apple is very, very different now than they were 5 years ago. And so I don't really know how to predict stuff like I used to be able to. But I think that they'll stay quite separate entities, in my opinion. That's what most makes sense to me. Man, I am stuffy. Okay. Let's see. More questions. Should I keep the iPhone 4S and get the iWatch or just get the iPhone 6? If I was not mistaken, the Apple Watch only works with iPhone 5 and up, I think. Now, I'm very split on the Apple Watch, and I want to be careful. I don't want to comment a lot because I don't want to be eating my words in a couple of months. And so I'm going to tread this very carefully. Also because I haven't seen one, I haven't used one, so I can't formulate opinions and all that stuff having not seen it. But it just doesn't really make sense to me because let me explain from the point of Android Wear. Apple took a shot at Android Wear saying, we're not putting your mobile operating system on your watch. This is an entirely optimized experience. But I beg to differ. On Android Wear, on my Samsung Gear Live, on the Moto 360, on all of these Android smartwatches, they are not intended to be a primary input device. Okay, it's not supposed to be an interface that takes control or dominance over your phone. It's a complementary device. Okay, so I get a text message, I can look at it on my watch. If I want to, if I'm not going to pull out my phone, I can reply from the speakerphone, from the microphone on the watch. But it's the majority of apps only give you the option to open on phone. So it's like a notification tool rather than a primary device. And that's why you don't see really any apps for Android where there are games, but it's not intended to be its own device. It's not intended to be a gaming platform. It's not intended to be a mobile calculator. It's intended to show your notifications, to complement your phone. And when your phone is not accessible or the time is not appropriate to use your phone, you can default to the watch. Now, Apple Wear, from what I see, Apple is trying to make it more of a go-to device. And I think that they're treading kind of treacherous waters there. Because if you think about the input capabilities, and they did talk about it, they have the digital crown saying, look, it's not practical to pinch and zoom on a watch. But they also talked about, look, you can view all your photos in your photo. If I am going to show someone a photo, I'm not going to be like, oh, look, I took a photo the other day, scroll, 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 pinch, zoom, swipe, 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 tap, open photo stream. Ding. Yeah, scroll, 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 scroll. No, I'm gonna pull out my phone with the iPhone 6 Plus with a gigantic 5.5-inch screen, which is perfect for sharing. And I'm going to say, look at this picture I took yesterday. No one wants to see a picture on a little tiny watch. And I think that that is the problem with many of the items. It's cool, but on Android, when you get a text message, it says text message, reply, mark as read, or open on phone. Okay, those are the options. Now, on the iPhone, it's like its own little thread. Like they want you to manage your text message conversations from the watch. And that doesn't sound practical. I'm sorry, it just doesn't seem like that's the way to go. Now, there are some intuitive stuff, but I mean, and then the stuff that they were bragging about seemed quirky and weird, like the heart, send your heartbeat. Who gives a crap about that? I don't care. I'm not going to draw little like short code little hearts to my friend. No, I'm going to open my phone. I'm going to call him and say, I love you. You know, I think that it's a tricky market. Because I think maybe I will be eating my words in a year. But for me, personally, I do not want a watch to be my primary input device. Okay, that's why I have my phone. I want my watch to notify me of things that my phone cannot while it's in my pocket. And I think that that's what the majority of people want. Because at the end of the day, I'm sorry, but it will be easier to do everything on the phone than it will on the watch. By the time you scroll, by the time you say, oh, hey, you're a really nice person, ding, then it does the text to send. It's easier just to pull out your dang phone, type it out like a beast, and you're ready to go. Okay? It doesn't seem like something that will gain you time or convenience. And that's what I have formulated on the Apple Watch thus far. I'm not going to talk about the digital crown. I'm not going to talk about the design style. I'm not going to talk about the price is a little bit worrying too. $350 is a lot of money. Now, granted, these are quote unquote, if you go and buy a designer watch, those are several hundred dollars, thousands of dollars. You can go and buy a Rolex and spend $5,000 on a Rolex. Okay, but so I understand that watches are a fashion object, and you can tell with Apple's approach, with all these different face styles, with the karat gold, with the rose gold, with the titanium version, the anodized aluminum version, the steel version, you can tell that they want to create a kind of a lifestyle type of brand. It's not like Samsung where they're like, here's this ugly watch that we pasted on your arm. That's the way it is. There's no screen sizes. There's no watch bands. If you want to change that, sorry, you got to do it on your own. It is a more design-oriented approach, okay? But I don't think that that warrants such a high price. And I bet you, even though the iWatch might be really, really cool, the number of people that are willing to pay $350 for a watch that is a digital watch just doesn't seem like something very viable. Furthermore, because um, when you buy a watch, when you buy a Rolex, those things will work for 25 years. When you buy a Citizen EcoSport, 10 years. So there's not the idea that when you buy it, it's $600, yes, but it's something that's going to last a lifetime. Whereas with an iWatch, you buy it and a year later there's a new one. Yours is fat, the battery sucks, the touchscreen isn't good, the resolution's bad, the microphone isn't very good, and you're going to have to upgrade your watch like you have to upgrade your phone. And at $350, that doesn't seem like something that's very feasible to me. Now, I also wouldn't have thought 5 years ago that people would be staying up till midnight to buy a phone that they is almost, not identical. I have to be careful with this. Similar to the phone that they've only owned for a year. I never thought that was going to happen, but it does. People change their phones every year, every 6 months. So maybe we'll move that way with the iWatches and all that stuff. But right now, I just don't see it as like a scalable, viable platform. I don't think it might be cool, okay? It might be a great product. It might sell well, but it's not the revolution that Apple has been calling it. I don't think so. I don't think it's like the iPad. I don't think it's like the iPhone. I don't think it's like the iPod. I think it's a watch and it's nice and it's cute and I like it. But it's not something where I'm like, oh, this is going to change everything. And this is recorded, this is on the internet, this is live. So in 1 year, when the iWatch is the best-selling timepiece of all time, you guys can come back and say, you're an idiot, you didn't know anything, you stupid. But until then, I'm going to stick with the opinion that I had. Okay, let's take another question. We're only going to do a couple more. It seems that the chat has kind of stopped. I'm notified that there's 100 people watching, but I don't know if 112. Hello, chat? Are you alive? Ask questions. Okay. Maybe just what I was saying is really, really interesting and that's why nobody's typing. Or maybe nobody's really listening and it was boring and that's why no one's typing. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, that's aside the point. Let's take some more questions. We can draw a mustache in the meantime until I get more questions. Or like a red nose. Has anyone tried that? Like a clown nose? Let's try it. Hold on. Oh, that's a really big nose. Okay, I'm done with that. All right. That's what I think about the watch, anyway. And if you disagree, I would love to see your comments. Let me know. Write a blog post. Hit me up on Twitter. Say you're stupid. I just dropped my 1.1 again. It's good. I'm going to have a hard time selling this. I might just keep this one. The HTC One M8 I sent in to get repaired today. They're still going for about $400 on eBay. And the phone initially was $200 plus the $200 that it will most likely cost me to repair, maybe more, but at least I'll be able to sell the device and not just have a broken piece of poop. And then even though I might have to try the HTC One M8 because I love that phone. That was a perfect phone. Yeah, the screen, it was perfect. It was perfect. The battery was great. The battery was far better than the OnePlus One. It had a beautiful display. The camera sucked. The camera was terrible. And the camera on the OnePlus One is quite good. But I really liked that phone. So maybe when it comes back, I'll keep that one and sell the OnePlus One. I don't know. But anywho, I'm going to keep at least one of those so that when I break my iPhone 6, I'm kidding. I hope not because I'll have Apple Care. But if I break my iPhone 6 and I have to send it in to get repaired, I have to go to the Genius Bar, at least I'll have like a go-to phone. And I always like to have an Android phone on hand too because a lot of times there's Android apps that come out or Android features or Android software updates. And so it's nice to have both devices to do comparisons. Anywho, yeah. All right. So let's see. I'm reading through the comments. Now they're scrolling too fast. First there were no comments and now there's a ton. Am I using the Zoom H2n? Good question. I'm actually using the Zoom H6. I don't know if you can see here in the video. There's an LCD screen right here. And then these are capsules that are interchangeable. This is the directional, it might have gotten really loud, sorry about that. This is the directional Holy cow, I'm losing my mind. The cardioid capsule, the dynamic capsule. So it's not a condenser capsule wherein it picks up everything around the room. Rather, this is quite directional. So the minute I move off of it, it's already quite quiet, and when I move back, it's loud. These are also very, very sensitive to air bursts, and so if you hear up, I apologize for that. I have to buy an additional air wind filter because does a decent job, but it's not perfect. And so, yeah, I'm looking at my text messages. Alrighty. Okay, next question. Thank you for the question. That was a good one. What do I think of iOS 8? Is it better than iOS 7? Well, every revision of iOS gets a little bit better. Um, I can't comment really because I don't have an iPhone. I have an iPad and I use my iPad. I've downloaded the iOS 8 beta. I'm actually downgraded back to 7.2.2 or 7.1.2. I don't remember. And I'm jailbroken. So I have Cydia installed. There's a couple of tweaks on there. It's great. Anywho, the problem with iOS that I feel, well, I just can't comment. I don't know. I feel that it's more complicated now than it was before, which for us is fine, but for non-intuitive folk, it worries me. We upgraded my grandpa to iOS 7, and holy crap, it was like trying to teach a kid to ride a bike. He just, where's this? And it's like, Grandpa, it's all the same. It just looks different. And he's like, it's not the same. The notifications are different, and mission control. Like, oh, it was stressful. So we had to reteach him all that. And so for people like us, it's fine, it's scalable. But it worries me that it's becoming too feature rich and complicated. Um, and obviously, with more features comes more bugs. I feel that iOS 7 has been rather buggy for me. I have problems on it. That's on my iPad. Now, granted, it's nothing like Android. I can go weeks without rebooting, but I have more problems now than I've had before with iOS. The last version of iOS was iOS 5 that I used. I never used iOS 6. I don't know anything about it. Anyway, so we'll see. iOS 7, I like, and iOS 8 looks slick. I mean, I was using the beta; it was pretty good. I don't think that the features are like super improved. I think that the Metal engine will be huge. I think gaming, mark my words on this, gaming on iOS is going to change completely in the next 12 months. Completely. It will be amazing, the games that are on the iPhone in 12 months. And I believe that we will move to a more expensive revenue model. Game studios that are currently doing console games will start to focus on mobile devices, maybe not in the next year, but in the next 3 years. Okay, you might see a title from Infinity Ward on, or from Bungie on your Android, well, on your iOS device. Okay, and I think that it's plausible because this Metal engine is incredible. And I also think that the price of titles will go up as well, because consoles are really struggling, because you can get a great game that works for a couple of hours at least for 99 cents, even a couple days. 99 cents, you spend it and you're good, and it's a great game. And so I think that yeah, guys, try not to spam. I'll get to your questions eventually, but don't spam. Thank you. Okay. Um, Radis, Andre, I will talk about the Retina Mini later. I can answer now. I love it. It's like the perfect device for me. And I don't think that my iPhone 6 Plus will replace my Mini at all, because this phone does not replace my Mini. Now, that being said, this is not an iOS device, so that may be the reason that it doesn't replace my Mini, but I think that I'm going to use both at this, still. Okay? Because this isn't big enough to be a tablet, in my opinion. And the Air, now that I'm in college and I'm reading textbooks, I kind of wish sometimes that I had the Air. But the Mini is so convenient and small, man, I love it. Anyway, back to gaming. I think that the price of games will go up when publishing studios come out, and they will be real console-like titles on an iOS device for probably $10, $20 rather than this $99, $199, $299. I mean, rarely do you see a game that costs more than $4.99, and mostly the $4.99 games are people are like, oh, it's way too expensive. I would never buy that. It's terrible. So we'll see. Anyway. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Yeah, the iPhone 6 does have 1080p. It's a 1920 by 1080 resolution. On the iPhone 6, it is a little bizarre. It's like 1440 by, I need to be careful. It's like 1440 by 950. It's a really weird, it's not 1440 because it would be 960 if that were right, but it's a really weird resolution. Let's look. iPhone 6 resolution. iPhone 6 Plus, I know is 1920 by 1080, but I don't know the regular 6. You guys in the comments are probably going to beat me to it because I'm looking on my phone right now. 1334 by 750. Yeah, that's a really weird resolution. It's still 16 by 9, which is good. So you won't have to, developers won't have to like, they're going to have to build higher resolution apps, obviously. Um, but it's not so much of a change like from the iPhone 4S to the iPhone 5 that all the apps are going to have the black bars on the top and the bottom like they did way back in the day. It'll just be scaled. It will look a little, it won't even look blurry. It will just look less sharp. It might look blurry on the 5, on the 6 Plus, but developers in the Apple community are very, very, very fast to fix their app. So I bet you actually in the next couple of days, um, even before the phone ships, we're already going to see a couple of updates on our phone that will say iOS 8 and iPhone 6 Plus compatible, even before the 6 is publicly available. So, anywho, yeah. Um, I was not surprised that the 6 Plus did not have 4K video, and I'll tell you why. It's a little gimmicky, okay? When you're on a smaller sensor, on a smaller lens like that, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And well, there's two reasons why. First of all, it is crazy, crazy heavy. If I film on my OnePlus One a 5-minute 4K video, it's like 40 gigabytes or something like that. It is nuts, right? And on my camera, exact same thing. My Lumia, the GH4, my Panasonic Lumix, the camera that I use for my videos, after a day of footage, I already have like 100 gigabytes of footage for a 3-minute video. I mean, it is nuts. Okay. Secondly, when you have a phone that's small, I mean, it's a great camera, but it's still not capable of capturing what really is a 4K resolution. I mean, 1080p and 4K would look pretty much identical. One just is crazy huge and not very well optimized. Okay. Um, Going back to that, and this is probably the biggest reason, iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus do not have 4K displays. So it doesn't make much sense to record in 4K if you can't view it in 4K. And I don't think that we're even going to see well, we will just because of the evolution of technology, but I don't think that 4K displays and UHD displays, like the LG G3, I haven't seen that in person. People say that the display is remarkable, but I've also heard a lot of people say it's the advantages of having a bigger display don't outweigh the fact that the thing is still huge. If that, or not huge, that the thing sucks battery. So obviously a bigger display and a higher resolution display requires more pixels to drive, more energy. It requires a faster processor because it's pushing more information to more pixels, more energy. And at the end of the day, this stuff is really, well, yeah, it does depend on the bit rate. I mean, you can change the bit rate of the 4K video down quite low so that 1 minute is, I don't know, 300 400 megabytes. I have the bit rate on that yanked up pretty high. And that's because I've noticed that with a lower bit rate, it kind of artifacts on 4K. On 1080p, it doesn't. But on 4K and on a more compressed rate, on a lower bit rate quality, it kind of, the blacks are kind of artifacty. You guys know what I mean. When you look at an LCD screen and you kind of see that weird artifacting. That's what I see on the GH4 when I don't use a really high quality bitrate and codec. Um, anyway, so I don't remember what I was talking about before, but it should have been important. Oh yeah, these displays are crazy difficult to drive because they are very, very power hungry. And always on mobile devices, and I think for many years to come, battery will be the number one issue. If you ask anyone about the 5S, Samsung says wall huggers. If you ask anyone about their 5S, what's the thing you most dislike about your iPhone? Everyone will say battery. I love it, but the battery sucks. And so I think that it's better that they put less power intensive parts inside the phone in order to get a better battery life, if that makes sense. Um, yeah. Okay. Amen. We've been here a long time. There's actually a lot of people watching. For just starting a stream, I'm glad 122 of you came out. You guys are pretty awesome. um, let's see. And who I saw someone mention it, but they made a very, very good comment. iPhone displays are gorgeous. Okay, their color reproduction, their refresh rate, it's just a culmination of everything right. Wherein even though it's a lower resolution display, it still looks, beautiful. Okay, with comparatively sized devices. I mean, when I look at an iPhone 5s and I look at my OnePlus One, I think, whoa, this display is freaking phenomenal. But when you look at two similarly sized phones, I tend to think that even though the iPhone has a lower resolution, due to the color reproduction accuracy, due to the brightness, even brightness is huge, and that's one thing that the OnePlus One doesn't have. You'll notice that when it goes, the backlit panel gets darker the further out you go. So it's really bright in the middle, and then it slowly fades to less bright. And when you're on an iPhone, just the displays look beautiful, and that's why I'm excited. People, when Apple announced 1920 by 1080p, everyone was like, no, the Plus only has a 1080p display. These Android phones already have 4K displays on them, 2K displays. I don't think it's necessary, because Apple is going to make a display that is going to blow everyone's freaking mind. I mean, you'll put that 6 Plus in your hand and you'll say, this is one of the best displays we've seen, even though there are displays that are quote unquote higher resolution. Just because of the culmination of even backlighting, refresh rate, yada yada. Anywho, yeah. So, do you guys agree with the majority of what I said, or am I just crazy in the last hour and a half? I feel like I've said some stuff that's kind of edgy and that not a lot of people think, which is what I tend to think. It's different than what most people think, but a lot of people get mad when I say stuff that I do think, no, that's stupid, that's wrong. If I'm stupid, you can tell me, but only once, because if you say it multiple times, then the chat gets very spammy. I keep getting notifications on my OnePlus One. I don't know what it's all about. I'm getting messages on Google Hangouts. Okay, let's see. Oh, can I comment on something? Of course I can, because by the time you hear that question, it will be 5 minutes later, and I'll have already answered. Time travel. I'm from the future. Um, I'm really, really excited about this newfangled, this fabled. Oh, hey, this fabled MacBook Air, the 12-inch Retina MacBook Air. That sounds like the perfect device to me. Okay, I love my MacBook Air. The 11 inches is a little bit tiny, especially with that 16 by 9 resolution. It just looks a little bit weird. Okay, I love it, but it looks a little bit weird when you're trying to do. I mean, a lot of websites, even one of Apple's own things. Oh no, it was the Mailbox app for Android, not for Android, for OS 10, from Dropbox, Mailbox. You guys know what I'm talking about. Anyway, when it's on the MacBook Air, if you pull up the settings panel, the settings panel is bigger, like taller than the actual MacBook display, and so it pulls off. And since the top of the window is already butted with a menu bar, you can't pull it up. That's its limit. So just the bottom half of the settings you can't even access. And so that's bad design on their part because it's not scrollable or anything like that. But anyway, to focus on what I'm trying to convey, I think that a little bit larger display would be perfect. 13 is borderline. I mean, I know that the 13-inch displays are great and everyone loves them, but the 13-inch MacBook Air just, I don't know. I don't think I would love it. But the 12-inch, ooh, I don't know if you guys remember way back in the day. Many of you may not have been Apple fans in this. I wanted to say in this entonces, like in Spanish, in this era. But the G4 Tybook, oh, what an amazing machine that was. It was perfect. It was a 12-inch display. I mean, that was the dream computer of every person. And people use their Tybooks to the death. I mean, that was probably one of the machines that had the biggest cult following from Apple. I mean, everyone likes their machines. Oh, yeah, we're the Mac Pro users. Oh, yeah, we're the iMac users, whatever. But this machine had like forums built just for this computer. I mean, people were obsessed with the Tybook. And if the Tybook comes back in a MacBook Air form factor, a 12-inch screen, I think they're going to have a huge hit on their hands, especially if it's Retina. I will buy one because while I love my 11-inch MacBook Air, it's a little bit small at school. for the work that I'm doing. That was inevitable, and people will say, "Oh, you're stupid. Just buy a MacBook Pro." But the Retina MacBook Pros are too heavy for me. Even though they're really light, they're way lighter than they were back in 2011. They're still too heavy, and thus I don't like to have it in my backpack, and it's not my thing. So yeah. Anywho, by the way, speaking of that, you guys are going to see a video tour of my home office. Probably not tonight. Probably tomorrow. I apologize for that. Okay, forgive me. But probably tomorrow. I haven't started filming it yet. One of the reasons I came down to the office today was to get my camera in order to film. And then, anyway, uh, so I was going to go over to take the camera, go to my house, put it on at home, and then bring it back to the office to edit it. But that's just too much. And honestly, I have been trying to edit stuff on my MacBook Air. Well, not trying to, but there have been times where I've needed to edit video on my MacBook Air. It does a surprisingly good job. The 4K, the computer struggles with 4K a lot, but on Final Cut Pro you can choose whether or not, like when you're editing in real time, you can choose to use the full resolution video or like an optimized resolution, and it basically makes it really low resolution, but you can at least see what's going on. And then when it exports, it's in 4K. I mean, you don't edit in 4K, but when you export, it's in 4K. If that makes sense, the live view of what's happening is not really high resolution, but that doesn't matter because as long as I can see more or less what's going on, then I'm fine. And so I'm going to try that. And then my home internet is slow, so that's going to take probably like all day tomorrow, but it's really slow. I mean, so we were CenturyLink. It was Quest. CenturyLink bought them out. It's the only provider in our area. There's Comcast Xfinity, but Comcast is of the devil, man. We hate those guys. And it's sad because there's fiber north of us and fiber south of us, but there's no fiber right where we are. And we are in an older neighborhood, so the development of a fiber optic network is not too high. That being said, I'm going to move out pretty soon here. I need to find a house and all that stuff. So I might move closer to campus where there is better Wi-Fi, or excuse me, better home internet. Or if I change universities to Brigham Young University, which I don't want to do because I hate that place, but it would be better for my career. That's where Google Fiber is currently existent. And I have friends that like tease me. They'll send me, because they know I'm a nerd and they know I love this stuff. So they'll send me their bandwidth. They'll do speedtest.net and it's like 700 down. I'm like, shut up. I hate you. Okay. But anyway, yeah. Okay. So expect that tomorrow. Probably not tonight, but an office tour of my home office. And I call it a budget tour because I really did spend a minimal amount of money on that budget. My monitor was like $130. It's pretty good. I bought a hinge dock on eBay for $32. Normally they're like 60. I wasn't going to get one, and then I saw Larry Greenberg's video. Larry, it's all your fault. I don't know if you're still here, but I saw Larry's video of the 11-inch MacBook Air, and I decided to buy one. It's not the most seamless docking system because the ports on the MacBook Air and really the Retina MacBook Pros now as well are on both sides. So if you're docking something vertically, this part on the bottom will get docked, but on the top it doesn't. Way back in the day, hinge docks were awesome because you throw your computer in, every port was there, boom, 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 boom. Throw your computer and it's completely docked vertically. It's awesome. The other problem that I've been having with my hinge dock is since I think this is just, I don't know. You should try it and let me know how it works. But on your Apple laptop, definitely on my MacBook Air. I haven't noticed it before on my other computers that I've owned previously. My 2011 MacBook Pro didn't see it. My 2008 MacBook I didn't see. My 2010 MacBook Air didn't see it either. But on this newest MacBook Air, which is the 2013 model, I feel, well, I don't feel, when the Mac is closed and docked, the Wi-Fi chip has a lot of problems reaching the router. It's significantly slower. The minute I open it up on the table, it's fine. But if I leave the computer closed, the Wi-Fi chip does not fetch a signal. It still gets signal from the router, but it's quite slow. And so I was going to move my desk closer to the other side of the room where it's closer to the router. But now I'm thinking at this point I'll probably just wire an Ethernet cable around the room and then use the Thunderbolt to Ethernet adapter that Apple sells for my computer. Anywho, because that's really bothering me. But also because CenturyLink as of late has been really slow. Man, I hate those guys. I want to switch. Here in the office, we have Comcast for Business. And it's fast. It's not fiber. They do offer fiber here, but it's really expensive. It's like $250 a month. And we're paying $75 right now, I think. And we get like 25 down and 18 up or 19 up, which is sufficient. I mean, it's not crazy fast, but it's certainly good enough. Way better than our home internet, which, by the way, before I left on my mission, it was probably 14, 15 down and 8 or 9 up. And now it's like 11 to 12 down and then like 0.5 up or 1 megabit per second up. It is horrible. And we've called them and they're like, oh, that's really slow. It shouldn't be like that. And we're like, yeah, we know, obviously. And they're like, oh, your router must be broken. So they sent us another router. And we knew it wasn't the router, but a free router, so why not? We upgraded the router. They're like, that fixed it, didn't it? No, it didn't fix it. They're like, oh, well, we'll have to send a technician, but just to send him is $50, and then he does a service fee of 1 hour a day. And we're like, look, we know networking. I mean, we're not DSL employees, but we know how it works, and we've checked. I mean, we know that our setup is fine. And they're like, well, we don't know. We can upgrade you to a faster service, but then you'll have to start a contract with us because now we work on contracts. They just suck. So the minute that someone comes that's not CenturyLink nor Comcast to our neighborhood, we are so getting them. Oh man. Anywho, what's my major? Business administration, a Bachelor of Arts. I'm minoring in Spanish and majoring in business administration. So anywho, yep. Huh. Gobin, I assume, right? Gobin already knew. He's a stud. Thanks, buddy. Okay. Oh, okay. Have you guys ever seen the movie Fantastic Mr. Fox? That's the best freaking movie ever made. It's such a good movie. Um, it's great because it's just so good. It's so good. I love that movie. It's a great one. Um, it's so witty and clever, and it's a children's show, but it's filled with adult and clever humor. And it's a great show for smart, funny, witty people, which all of you are. So you should check it out if you haven't seen it. It's so funny. I love it. Oh, okay. Kylie, this is actually a big deal. So if you cannot say, oh, okay, it's not funny unless you've seen it. Sorry for even trying. Okay. Um, let's see. Yeah, look, Theo. In Spanish, it's Theo. Here, it's Theo. I don't know. Mr. Matheson. It's probably Theo. Um, Comcast we just hate Comcast because it's Comcast. They suck. They don't care about net neutrality. They're just a big corporate bully. And so, I mean, their service is pretty good. We got to admit, our service with Comcast would be much better than with CenturyLink, but we just hate freaking Comcast as a company. They're terrible. Anywho, what type of businesses do I want to start? Matt, I wish I knew the answer to that. I don't know. I've had a lot of ideas that have come into my head in the last couple of months, and I've even tried to like formulate a couple of them for like a Kickstarter idea, but I don't know. Just I'm not smart enough by myself to be able to, create. I'm not a designer. I'm not an engineer, and so the stuff that I want to create, like I don't have the resources to create it. If that makes sense, I don't have the ability to go, oh hey engineer, come here, I got this idea for Kickstarter, and I mean I'm trying to join a couple of clubs at school so that there's actually an entrepreneurs club, and like everyone, engineers get together and designers and business students, and they all mesh together and you try to make startups, and a couple have been very successful. There's a kid who locally, it's funny because 2 years ago, yeah, two and a half years ago, he took me out to lunch and he said, hey, look, I really like what you do on YouTube. I see that you have a pretty far outreach, and I just wanted, he's like, I feel kind of worthless. I don't really know how to do this. I'm in school, but I think I want to drop out, yada, yada. He's like, and I don't know, but how have you gotten your internet approach? And I was like, look, I just kind of hit it lucky. Like there's nothing that I did in particular. I just made content and I like doing what I did. And I've kind of figured it out since then. And I know what's good on social media and I know what's not. And I know a couple of tricks here and there, but I was like, it's pretty much experimental. And he's like, oh, well, he's like, I have a couple of ideas if you want to start a company with me. And I was just like, nah, that's not really my thing. I'm fine, whatever. And then he now has raised like $20 million on Kickstarter and on, what's the other one? Indiegogo. His name's Zach Park. Now he lives in California. He drives like a really nice car. And I'm like, dang it, I missed it. I could have been a part of that. But oh well. Life happens. We'll see what we can do. Plus, being rich sucks anyway. It's more fun to be poor. Uh, more questions? More questions? Do I ever use Windows? No. And I don't really ever plan to as well. When I was in Bolivia, there are no Macs there, so I used Windows not a lot. I wasn't on the computer very often. We emailed our family every week, and then for a large duration of my time there, for 4.5 months, I was in what's called the mission office, and we did administrative flights or administrative stuff. We'd book flights and all that stuff, and so we used computers all day long. But we just used Windows 7 computers, and I was very pessimistic, and I hated Windows with all my life before. Now I don't hate it. I can appreciate why some people use it. I just would never want to use it. If that makes sense. And I liked. Um, I was having like dreams about the Surface Pro 3. Okay, I really wanted one. I was like, it looks awesome. I like the apps. The hardware's cool. Went to the Microsoft store and I was playing around with them. I'm like, this is great stuff. I love this. And then I saw a kid in my what it was my economy class, my economics class, and he was on his Microsoft Surface Pro 3, and like the desk was slanted, and I was fine on my MacBook Air browsing the web, not really listening to the lecture because it was boring, and he was like trying to get this all figured out. The Surface was sliding down, and he had his like foldable keyboard that was falling off. And I just looked. I'm like, sucks to have a Surface. And since then, I really haven't wanted one. It was one of those. It was one of those lust periods where you go through where you're like, oh, I want that so much. That's the best thing ever. It's kind of like when you first start dating a girl. When you first figure out you like her, you're like, oh, I love you so much. I miss you. And then after like 2 weeks, you're like, I don't. She's really not that great. And then you get dumped. Um, Interesting parallel. Hope you can compare. Wait, not compare. Hope you can compare. Oh, what's the word? Hope you can like associate yourself with it. Hope you can. Holy crap, guys! I've forgotten English. I don't even know what the word would be in Spanish. Hope you've. Hope you can compare. I think that's right. Yeah. Anywho, back to the topic at hand. Where's iTunes Ping? I don't know. Ping's been dead for a long time. Ping is one of those things where Apple launched it, made a big deal about it. It turned out to be nothing, and then they just quietly kill it so no one finds out. Yeah. It might actually still exist. I don't even know. I don't ever use iTunes. I don't use iTunes at all for anything ever. So I don't know. I haven't even. I opened iTunes 11. Is it iTunes 12? iTunes 13? I don't know. The new iTunes on Yosemite once, and I closed it. I liked it, but I'm not an iTunes guy because I have all my really high quality files that are stored on my computer, and I use Fidelia app for that. And then when I want to stream music, I don't use iTunes Radio. I use Rdio. So there you have it. Rumor has it. Ooh. Oh, relate. Hope you can relate. Oh, what an embarrassing English fail moment for me. Thank you, chat room. You guys are great. Sorry it was like a minute and a half delayed. Well, I was a minute and a half ahead of you guys. It's your fault for being delayed. I'm just kidding. I don't know why there's such a delay on other live stream platforms. I mean, there's no problem at all. On vocal, the second you say something, it comes through to the other side. But this isn't on vocal. This is on YouTube, and YouTube is where I do my stuff. So I got to do my streams here. Anyway, I'm kind of running out of things to say, so I think we're going to wrap this up. Also, because I need to go home, I need to get some dinner. I'm going out with friends later, and ideally, before the sun goes down, I would like to film at least a little bit of my office tour that I'd like to post tomorrow. So, thank you so much for coming. You guys are the studliest folk ever. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave your comments below in the comments section after the stream has finished to kind of compare your opinions against my own. I will be reading them. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say. You can hit me up on Twitter. You can email me as well. There's a contact form on my website, snazzylabs.com, and we can chat, because I want to know what you guys think about all this stuff, or if you guys think I'm just crazy, like I probably am. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, rate, and comment. Thank you for coming out and for sticking around for an hour and a half. I mean, you guys are awesome. This was not planned. This was totally impromptu, and we got a pretty good little turnout. So, hey, you guys are the best. Stay snazzy forever and ever. And as always, wait, I don't know how to close the thing. This is going to be awkward once I finish. And I'm like trying to figure out how to stop it. Leave call? It's not really a call though, I guess. I guess so. Okay. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe, rate, comment, and as always, stay snazzy. You guys are the best. Love ya. Love your faces. Oh, it's still continuing. Uh, Awkward.